welcome back to Beyond the Cow. Today we are making these cute little Hexipuffs. If I turn this to the side, you can see that it has a little bit of puffiness to it, and if I do this you can see the squishy texture. They are, as someone described them, little fluffy clouds, little puffy clouds of crochet. They are just so cute and squishy, and I love them. I've only made one, but enough to show you how to make it. And the idea behind these is that you can put them together to make like little quilty blankets, or big quilty blankets. You could make little play mats for babies. Would be great for a baby to lay on with their play gym over the top, or for a sleep, just to lay on, nice and squishy and comfortable, rather than just a flat blanket on the floor. They are just cute. I've done this one in two colours. It's red on the back with green on the front, and then joined with crochet around it, and then just given a little bit of stuffing just to make it a little bit squishy. So we're gonna see how these are made. Yeah, if you can hear them whirring in the background, I have my fan on. If you follow the international weather, you will know that the UK is having a bit of a heat wave at the moment, and in my living room it is about 29 degrees, so it's about 84, and it's rising, steadily rising, a bit too hot. So I'm actually in the kitchen today, so I have a slightly different setup. So if I go out of shot, I think I've got the camera in the right place, but if I kind of come out of shot a little bit, sort of down here, then I apologise. It's because I'm sitting in a different way, so apologies if that happens. I'll try and get back into camera as soon as possible. So that's what we're doing today. So grab your hooks and yarn and everything else, cup of tea, or in my case a cold drink today, and let's get started. And if you keep watching to the end of the video, there's a quick bonus make at the end. The best thing to do with this is to start with a magic ring, or you could chain two and use the bottom chain. So I'm going to show you that way, in case you're not familiar with that. So chain two. If you're using the magic ring, then make your magic ring and chain one. Okay, and then with this you want to work into the bottom chain here as if it's your ring, and then this top chain will be your chain one. So go into the bottom ring, and we're going to make 6 single crochets. You might want to make them not too small for this first round, just because they may be a little hard to work into on the next round. So 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so you can see how that bottom chain became your ring really nicely, and then slip stitch in your first stitch of the round. Now you can do it this way, the traditional way of going in the front, but the other way that works really well is to take the loop off your hook, turn it around, pop your hook back through that first stitch. Can sometimes be a bit tricky to get into. Pop your hook from the back to the front in that first stitch, pop the loop back on the hook, pull it tight, and then pull through, and that's your slip stitch. And then turn your work back around, ready to start the next round. So for the next round it's really simple. We're going to chain one, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets in every stitch, so that will be 12 single crochets all together. Now the reason of doing the slip stitch like that, you eliminate the kind of fake stitch that you would often have here, which is your slip stitch. Okay, so go into your first stitch and make 2 single crochets. Okay, and then in the next make 2, and you're wanting 12 all together. So that's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Okay, so I'm going to do the slip stitch the same way in the first stitch, which has gone rather small, but if you just kind of wiggle your hook through, and if you ever struggle with doing your slip stitches, excuse me, if you ever struggle with them, then you can always grab a smaller hook and do a slip stitch with your smaller hook, and that will help you get through that stitch more easily. Okay, so slip stitch through there. Gosh, this stitch was very tight. Okay, there we go. So we now have 12 stitches. Round 3, we're going to continue increasing. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do 2 stitches in the first stitch. One, 2, and then 1 in the next. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I like to do count that like that all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, and then in the next stitch is 2. So 1, 2, and then 3. Okay, 1, 2 in the same stitch, and then 3 in the next. Okay, so all the way around. 1, 2, 3. So continue all the way around, and you'll finish on your last single stitch, and you'll have 18 stitches all together. And there we go, 18 stitches. I know it looks quite circular at the moment, but don't panic, it will become a little hexagon. Okay, so we have 18 stitches now, and we're going to move up to having 24 stitches. We increase by 6 stitches every round. So we're going to start with a chain 1, and then we're going to do 2 double crochet in the first stitch. 1, 2, and then we're going to do 1 in each of the next 2. So that will make our count this time. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is 3 and this is 4. Okay, I'll do that once more. So in this first stitch, 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. Okay, so 2 in one stitch, and then 1 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the way around, and do your slip stitch at the end, and you'll have 24 stitches. Okay, there we go. I now have 24 stitches, and you can see now it's just starting to get the 6 points, making it a hexagon. You can see you kind of got these sides that come down at an angle, come down and then down this way. So we're going to keep it like this, and normally for making a circle we would then change where we do our increases. So instead of doing 2 at the start, we would do our singles, and then we would do our increase. But we want to keep our increases in the same time so that it gives us those sharp angles for our corners. And the reason it does that, just in case you're wondering why it does that, when we try and do 2 single crochets in one stitch, they kind of sort of push each other out, and so they're kind of fighting for the space, and they sort of push each other. I can do this with my fingers, but I want to bend the right way, but they kind of push each other out at an angle, which gives you the angle here. So you've sort of got one going up and one going across, kind of thing. So that's how it works, just in case you wondered how it worked. Bit of crochet info there. Okay, so for the next round we're going to have, what do we have, 24, so we're going to have 30 stitches this time. So we're going to chain 1, and then again 2 stitches in the first stitch. And we did 4, a count of 4 last time, so this time we're going to do a count of 5. So we did 2 and 1, 1. This time we're going to do 1, 1, 1. So 3. Come on, camera, focus. focus, there we go. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, making 5 altogether, so 2 and then 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so 2 in one stitch, and then in the one in each, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so 2 and then 3 individuals, and that is going to give you your 30 stitches for this round, and then do your slip stitch as usual. Okay, so I'm just doing my slip stitch for this round, and there we go. So you can see it's still definitely very hexagonal. So I'm really sorry that my camera keeps going blurry. I really don't know what happens with it. If anyone can tell me how to get autofocus off of my smartphone camera, please leave a comment below and tell me how I can get autofocus off. I have tried, and I can't see that there is a function for that, but if you know how to do it, please let me know. I would be very, very grateful. Okay, so there we go, a cute little hexagon. It's me want to keep moving my fingers, isn't it? So hopefully it will focus. Anyway, you can see a little hexagonal shape there. So you can stop with these at any time you like, but if you want to make it into some kind of a sort of quilty blanket or a play mat, then you're gonna have to sew a lot of these together if you make them really small. So I mean, this one's actually a bit too small. Ideally this one is about 3 inches across, or almost 3 inches, and then 3 inches point to point, which is a really good size for a Hexipuff. So we're going to do another round or two on this, but you can make it bigger or smaller, however you like, and you would just keep increasing in the same way. So let's move on to the next round. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do 2 stitches in the first stitch, and then this time we're going to do a count of 6. So we're going to do 4 individual stitches. So we've got 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 1, 2 in the first stitch, and then 3, 4, 5 and 6. Continue all the way around, and then you will have 36 stitches. 36 stitches. Okay, so I'm going to continue and see you at the end of this round. So here we go. How cute is that? Cute, cute, cute. So I am going to do one more round on this. This one had 7 stitches along, and I'm now seeing that this one actually is coming up bigger. So I think it might have been the end yarn that was thinner and it's thicker inside. It definitely feels thicker, or I'm just working more loosely. I don't know. The mysteries of yarn and crochet. Anyhow, I'm going to make one more round on this. So let's get you started. And it is the same as before. Chain 1, 2 stitches in the first stitch, and then 1 along, counting to 7. So 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, and that is that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you'll have 42 stitches at the end of this round. I will see you once I've finished. Okay, I've done my last round, and then I'm just going to pull through and fasten off like so, and there is my little hexagon. And the good thing is that this where you start and finish is a corner, so you haven't got some sort of random seam going in the middle, which works really nicely. So we have our hexagon, and what you want to do is, whether you've got the magic ring or the chain 2, just pull that in tightly, and then you're going to want to sew that in, make sure it's really secure, because magic rings and center rings can come pull open a little. So just make sure you've done that nice and securely. Just sort of pop a sort of knot or fasten it in there somehow. Okay, you always want to secure the beginning ring. Okay, so I have two, so you can see this one looks bigger now. How bizarre. It's the same yarn, but I think this one must have just been thinner, or I did it much more tightly, or I used a smaller hook, who knows. I thought I was using my usual 4.5 with DK, who knows. But these two are definitely the same size. I just wasn't wanting to use these originally, because I know that red doesn't usually show up on my camera very well, but we will work with what we have. So what you want to do is secure the middle ring of your hexagon. Don't worry about this outer piece, that's okay. Okay, so just secure the middle ring, and then I'll see you back when I've done that. Okay, so I have these two which are identical sizes, and this one, because it's worked up bigger than this one, actually is almost the same size, so I could use these. So what you can do when you make your Hexipuffs, they are great for stash busting. If you've got lots of scrap yarns that you know isn't going to make much or go far, you can actually use different colours together and just have a different colour on the front and the back, and that would work brilliantly. You don't even have to make these in plain colours. Variegated yarn or changing colour would be great as well. So you can do these in opposite different colours, and that would be really cool. So, and then you could have one side of your blanket could be the red and one side be the green, or you could have it alternating, so it's like red and green and the other side is red and green, or however many colours you use. You can make it sort of like a chessboard checkered effect, but with hexagons, not squares. So you could literally do this however you like, but great for using up those odd bits of yarn. Talking of odd bits of yarn, to stuff these, depending on how big you've made them, you can use proper fibre fill stuffing, or you can use some yarn. Now if you made the Brussels sprout or watch the video, you'll see that I used some yarn for that because it wasn't very big. Now these, you don't want these to be very puffy at all you want is to just give them a little bit of squishy texture, and in fact they are quite squishy just with two of these together, because the solid the single crochet does kind of give you quite a nice squishy texture as it is. So you could just sew two of these together and leave it as it is, but just to give them a little bit more of a squishy texture, you want to fill it with some yarn. So I've got just a little bit of leftover yarn here. You could use the same colour as you've made your hexagons, and that would ensure you don't see anything through it, but depending on how big your holes are, you really won't see much through it anyway. And the trick to having smaller holes is to use a smaller hook, which I didn't do today, but so a similar colour or the same colour is quite good to use as well. So you don't have to worry about cutting this middle piece of yarn off, that's fine, because you can just leave that in the middle. The end piece of yarn, you can, if you cut it long enough, you can use that to sew around the edges, or you can use a new piece of yarn and just tuck those inside. You don't have to do anything with those, you can just tuck it all inside, so no ends to sew in, just sewing these together. So I am going to take some yarn and show you attaching these together. So you can sew these together in a whole variety of ways. You can crochet them together, you can sew them together. If you crochet them together, it will give you a border edge. Actually, maybe that's what I should do, crochet them together rather than sew. I was just going to kind of whip stitch them together, which you can do that, just go through the corresponding stitch on both hexagons. Just go through under those 2 loops, okay, and just do a simple whip stitch around. That would work brilliantly, but actually because these are crochet, I'm gonna crochet these together and give them a little border. So I'm going to use red, but I'm going to do it on the green side so that you can see what I'm doing. So, oops, do a slip knot. You think I know how to do that by now. So I'm going to do it with the green side facing so that you can see what I'm doing, because we know that red doesn't work very well on camera. So I am going to start in the same stitch. Make sure you have definitely got the same stitch of each. That's not how we want to start, is it? We want to join our yarn first. So apologies for being a bit confused today. I am going to blame the heat, and I'm not ashamed to blame the heat at all. So pop these back to back, right sides facing outwards, go into, I'm going to do a chain 1 first, and then go into that stitch, go into the corresponding stitch of the back hexagon, just checking which one that is. So the corresponding stitch. If you don't go into the corresponding stitch, then your hexagons will not line up properly. So I'm just going to do some single crochets, 1 in each stitch, going through the front and then through the back stitches. So through this front and then under the back, making sure you're going under the stitch, okay, through the front and then through the back, all the way around. And this will give you a nice border. And I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier. So just keep working around, 1 into each stitch, including the making sure they're the corresponding stitch. So this is how it's starting to look. So I will finish this and I'll come back and join you. But what I want to do is leave one side open, okay? So I'm going to leave one side open and work around to here, and then just pull my loop up to a big loop so that I can then take my hook out and stuff it. So work all the way around, leaving one side free. However you're doing it, if you're sewing, whether you're crocheting, just leave one side open, okay? Okay, I have sewn up, I've crocheted the 5 sides and left this one side open. My ends are all here, so I'm just going to tuck those in, and that will help with the stuffing for a start quite nicely actually. Remember, you don't want these to be very firmly stuffed at all. You want them to be really nice and squishy, and bearing in mind that single crochet is quite firm in itself, you want to use the minimal amount of yarn really. So I'm actually not going to use, I am going to use this. Am I? Yes. Oh dear, I told you I'm in a bit of a confused mood today. So what I'm going to do is not do anything fancy, just unwound it so it's not in a solid block, and then I'm just going to pop some of this in, and I'm just going to pop it in. You can cut this into short pieces, and actually a great thing for stuffing little pieces of work like this, like if you're doing amigurumi and you've got like animal heads and things, is when you cut your yarn ends, save them all in a pot or in an old jar, old tissue box or something. Save all those ends, and those ends work brilliantly for stuffing when you've just got really small things to stuff. So start saving your ends. So a little bit more in here, but certainly not much at all. And if you're using fibre fill, hollow fill, whatever it's called. You won't need much at all. You literally just want to make it a little bit squishy. Can you see that this is just indenting slightly? It's just a little bit squishy. So more than just having the two pieces together, but not as much as making it really hard, like you would if you were doing maybe you know, a teddy's head or something. Okay, I'm going to cut that off and then just pop that last piece in there. Okay, pop that in, and then I'm just going to close up this last side, and then if I need to I can just wiggle this around inside. So I'm just going to crochet this last side, and that is my first Hexipuff. So you see me doing this, you probably don't want to see me doing any more. So just make sure you don't catch that yarn, that's the stuffing, don't catch that in here. Just close it up. So simple. And you can see this single crochet is giving a really nice edging to this and making it slightly bigger. So almost there. Okay, I'm going to close this up with an invisible join, so I'm going to fasten this off, or cut this, oops, and then pull it through, grab my needle, thread that, and then I'm going to go under 2 loops of the first stitch, which I know you can't see very well because it's red, but just go under those first 2 loops like you would if you were crocheting, and then come back and through the top, come on camera, focus, through the back loop at the top of that last stitch, and just make a kind of fake size of stitch, and then secure it at the back, but be aware that this back will show, so do it as neatly as possible. Okay, and then as long as that's secure, I'm just going to secure it a little bit more along the way. Oops, not like that, that's going to show. So just secure this as neatly as possible so that it won't show. And then I'm going to pop this inside and out the other side, pull it through, pull it a little tight so it's pulling down. Oh look, you can make a heart. And then snip that off, and then oops, and then when it pops back, that end of yarn will be hidden inside. And there, if you can see this on camera, it's just a little squishy and puffy. The camera doesn't want to play today, does it? So just a little squishy and puffy, and that is your Hexipuff. Gorgeous, I love that, so squishy. Actually, you could, if you wanted to, make it quite firm, and then you could use it as a pin cushion. I'm just thinking that you could, if you made it quite firm, you could then use it as a pin cushion. So there are more choices and possibilities. So when you've got several of these made, depending on what size of item you want to make, you just want to take your other Hexipuffs, we'll assume this is a Hexipuff, and you just want to join them. Okay, so join the sides together, and then you take another one, and that can fit in between. We'll assume it's the right size. And then you can just continue joining these together, and I think, is it 6 or 7 hexagons together makes a bigger hexagon. So you could keep it hexagon shape, you could make it sort of a rectangular but with the sides going in and out with the shape of the hexagons. So entirely up to you how you want to make it, but this is how you make your Hexipuffs. And if you have a look at Unit 2 joining techniques, that will give you ideas of how you can join these puffs together, whether you want to do an almost invisible join such as the mattress stitch for an invisible join, a decorative stitch such as the baseball stitch, that's all sewing, or you might want to do crochet it, in which case if you want to do invisible you want something like the slip stitch, and if you want decorative then you could do any other join you fancy, the granny stitch, granny join. You could do the flat braid join, which gives a nice decorative effect. So literally the possibilities are endless. I'm sorry I don't have one to show you with them all joined, but just go ahead and do it however you fancy, and just let your imagination run away with itself. And the next time I see you here I will be showing you some joining of hexagons anyway. I will be showing you hopefully a way to join them as a continuous join, so we just sort of go around and then around the next one and we don't have to fasten off. We did one of those with our squares, we did a continuous join, so I'm hopefully going to be showing you that in the next video in a few days time, so stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, have a look at Unit 2 for joining techniques. There is a link to the playlist in the description below for that, and also if you want the written instructions for that then have a look at the Facebook group, because all the written instructions are there. If you want written instructions for this as well then that will be in the Facebook group as well, link in the description below. And if you are in the Facebook group, please show me photos of your little Hexipuffs. I would love to see them. Whether you've made lots and made them into some kind of quilty blanket, or whether you've done what my last idea was and made it quite firm and made it into a pin cushion, or something else. Make a big hexagon and stuff it and make a kind of pillow. The possibilities are endless, but these little puffy hexagons are just the cutest. I love them, and one day I will make a little playmat for some little child. I'm going to have the time to make lots more of these. So there we go. Show me photos of what you've made in the group or on Instagram, #BeyondTheCal. So if you found this tutorial useful and helpful amongst all my confusion and the weather getting to me, I hope you found it useful and helpful and you've enjoyed crocheting along with me. It's been an interesting and fun video to make today. So if you have, then please consider clicking that like button, giving us a thumbs up. It's much appreciated. It does take time to do these videos, so Sammy and I do appreciate you just giving us a thumbs up to say thank you, or a comment below to just, you know, say thanks, or you know, loved making it or whatever, would be great. So enough of me waffling. Until next time, just keep hooking and don't let your tea get cold. Okay, so time for a little bonus make. We have finished making all of our hexagon patterns for this month. So I was having a try of making the Hexipuffs that we just did on the video, and I came up with this, and it happens to have holes in, so it wasn't any good for using as a Hexipuff because the stuffing would have shown through. But I thought it actually was really cute, and I know you can't see it very well on camera because it's red, but you can probably see, if I move all this out of the way, you can probably see this kind of sort of star in the centre. So I'm going to show you quickly how to make it. Don't worry, I'm not going to show you it in red, I'm going to show you it in green so you can actually see it on camera. So we're going to start as we did for the Hexipuff, if you watched the Hexipuff, or you might have skipped straight to the end here to watch this. So I'm going to start with a magic ring, or you can chain 2 and work in the bottom chain. So I'm going to do that again, chain 2 and work in the bottom chain as your ring, and make 6 single crochets in your bottom ring, your bottom chain, or into your ring. If you're working in the ring, do a chain 1 first and then do your 6 single crochets. Okay, and then pull your ring or chain in tightly and slip stitch to your first stitch. I'm just doing this the traditional way now. It's a little quicker doing the slip stitch that way. Okay, so then we're going to do the next round as we did for the Hexipuff. We're going to chain 1 and then do 2 stitches in each stitch around, making 12 double crochets altogether. So I'm not going to show you that again. 2 stitches in each and then slip stitch, and you'll have 12 single crochets. There we go, 12 single crochets. So we're going to do one more increase round and give ourselves 18 stitches. So just to remind you, chain 1, 2 stitches in the first stitch, single crochets, and then 1 in the next, 2 in the next stitch, and 1 in the next, all the way around, slip stitch, and you'll have 18 stitches all together. So here we go, we have 18 stitches now, and it's nice and circular. So now we're going to start making this into a hexagon. I'm going to use half double crochets now. So I'm going to chain 1 and then make a half double crochet in that very same stitch. Okay, and then we're going to do 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, because we're going to have 3 stitches per side. We'll 18 and 6 threes are 18, so we'll have 6 sides. So 3 to a side. So we've done 1, and then do the second, and then the third. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1. Okay, and then we're going to do a half double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2 and 3, chain 1, 3 more, 1, 2, 3, chain 1. Continue this around your last 3 sides, and then I will see you to finish the round. Okay, so do your last chain 1 and then slip stitch into your first stitch. Okay, so this still looks a little circular, but you have got, if you just pop your fingers in, you've got 6 chain spaces which will form your hexagon if you just pull them out a little. Okay, like so. So now we're going to make another round. So we've done this one here, so we're going to make this last round. But you could make more rounds if you like. So what we're going to do, chain 1 and then do a half double crochet in that same stitch, and then a half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 3 half double crochets in the corner. Okay, and then you're going to do a half double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Now you can see 2 stitches here. Okay, there's 1 here and there's 1 here. Now the third one is hidden under here, so you just move these around and go in there. Okay, there is 3 strands there. You can go under and just get that hidden stitch, and that will be the same on every corner. So work 1 into each stitch and then 3 in the corner in that chain space. Okay, and then show you again, when you come to this next side, the top of your stitch is always to the right of your post. So you've got 1, 2, and then the third one is hiding. So just move these stitches around and wiggle your hook under those top 2 loops with 1 loop at the back, and do that first stitch, and then do the next 2, and then 3 in the corner, and just do that all the way around. And when you get back to the start, do a slip stitch in your first stitch. So there you go, there's the cute little hexagon. And actually I was wrong, there is one more round to go to make it like this one here. So one more round for me, and then if you want to make it bigger you can just follow the same idea. It's basically, now we're doing a little like the solid granny hexagon, but we're not doing chains at the corners. So for the next round, coming to the end of this round, don't forget that you'll do your 3 in the last corner, and then you'll have 1 last stitch to make this first side up to 5 stitches. So you'll do 1 last stitch, and then you can slip stitch to fasten up. Okay, so we'll just do that the traditional way, just for this one hexagon, and there we go. Cute little hexagon, just a little bonus one there that you could make. So if you want to continue this, then just continue making 1 in each stitch and 3 in your corner stitch, so your middle stitch. Okay, so your next round you'll have 7 on each side. You'll have 6 on the first side, and then you'll do another one, and then you'll have 7 on each side, okay, with 3 in the next stitch. So this is that little extra for you if you wish to make this. Yeah, just because I had a go at trying to make something and it came up with this, so I thought I might as well share it with you. So there we go, hope you like it, and see you next time. We are going to chain 1, and now we're going to single crochet in each of the next 4. We've got 3 stitches here that we did above these 3, and then we've got 3 for the corner, and we want to do just that first one of the corner. Okay, so 4 stitches, 4 single crochets, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so that last one will be your corner stitch, even though it doesn't look like it's your corner, it is your corner stitch. The next one, which is in the middle of the corner, we are going to do 3 half double crochets. Okay, and then we're going to do the next 5 stitches, because we've got the last one of the corner, the 3 in the middle, and the first one of the next corner. So now it will be 5 stitches. Okay, it was only the first round, sorry, the first side that we only did 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then your middle stitch you're going to do 3, 1, 2 and 3, and then another 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then another 3 in the next stitch to make your corner, and then another 5, and then 3, another 5, 3, and then another 5. So slip stitch into your first stitch at the end, or you can do an invisible join as I showed you at the end of the Hexipuff. So I'll see you at the end of my hexagon.